Okay, let's dive right into this exact incredibly brief sentence that launched an absolute business spectacle. Just 11 words. Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump announced the Battle of the Billionaires. Now, on the surface, sure, it's just a simple declarative statement. But as someone who loves to unpack how information is structured and how audiences are captivated, I gotta tell you, this single sentence is doing some serious heavy lifting. It introduces the key players, it establishes the action, and it brands the entire event in a way that's basically impossible to ignore. So, you might be wondering, why in the world are we spending a whole explainer on just 11 words? Well, in the world of high-stakes promotion, efficiency is everything. These words are just incredibly dense with strategy. By treating this sentence as a literal masterclass in copywriting and branding, we can uncover the exact blueprint for how you build hype, position high-status individuals, and sell an idea to the public with ruthless precision. Let's start things off with Section 1. The grand announcement, and the immediate promotional weight that it carries. Notice how the text uses alliteration and the allure of extreme wealth as a highly deliberate marketing tactic. I mean, just look at the phrase, Battle of the Billionaires. The repeating B sounds, Battle, Billionaires, it makes the phrase incredibly sticky. It just rolls right off the tongue. It's practically engineered to be a headline. But beyond just the sound of the words, the strategy relies super heavily on that hyper-focus on elite wealth. By explicitly calling them billionaires, the announcement just instantly elevates the stakes. This isn't just two guys having a disagreement, right? This is a clash of astronomical net worths. It signals to the audience that the stakes are way higher than your standard event, simply because the people involved operate in a totally different financial stratosphere. Here's the really crucial point, though. They deliberately avoided standard sporting terminology to frame this as an epic, personal war of egos. Notice that our source text doesn't say they announced a match, or a game, or a challenge. It explicitly uses the word battle. A match kind of implies rules, a referee, sportsmanship. But a battle? That implies a visceral, high-stakes conflict with clear winners, clear losers, and maybe some collateral damage along the way. By choosing that exact word, the promotional strategy shifts the audience's expectation from a standard athletic exhibition to a deeply personal, intense conflict. It's just a brilliant psychological pivot. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of a Collision. Let's see how these words actually bring people together. So, in this specific branding context, a collision definitely isn't an accident. It's actually a highly calculated event, designed to create a monumental public spectacle. When you read Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump announce, you are quite literally witnessing the engineering of this collision. These are two completely distinct entities, right? And the text brings them together into the exact same sentence, basically forcing their spheres of influence to overlap. The whole goal of a promotional collision like this is to ensure that fans of one persona are suddenly exposed to the other, maximizing that total audience reach through sheer gravitational pull. This brilliantly illustrates the very foundation of the promotion, setting up two distinct, very wealthy figures as opposing pillars of the spectacle. Notice the exact structure here, Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump. That single word "and" places them on completely equal footing. It doesn't say one is challenging the other or one is visiting the other's territory. It joins them, establishing them as co-architects of the event. You've got two massive egos, two distinct empires, perfectly balanced on either side of the promotional scale. And honestly, that balance is exactly what makes the impending battle feel so unpredictable and exciting. Now, why exactly two? Well, in promotional strategy, a binary conflict is quite simply the easiest narrative for an audience to digest. Us versus them. One billionaire versus another billionaire. If you had three people, or say an entire board of directors, the narrative gets super muddy really fast. But by isolating exactly two towering figures, the marketing becomes razor sharp. You pick a side. The sheer simplicity of this two-person dynamic is the engine driving the entire promotion. And that brings us perfectly to Section 3, the actual fuel for this engine, branding the billionaires. Think about how this phrasing perfectly splits its marketing appeal right down the middle. Literally half of the draw is that primal promise of combat found in the word battle. And then, the other equally important half is our cultural fascination with upper-class status, locked inside the word billionaires. There is a deep psychological intrigue surrounding extreme wealth in our culture. By blending the primal, gritty concept of a fight with the highly exclusive concept of billionaires, the announcement targets two completely different audience desires at the exact same time. It's a masterful combination of grit and gold. The phrase ensures that the audience isn't just buying into a physical contest, but a high-stakes clash of unimaginable financial egos. Let's be real for a second. When you hear Battle of the Billionaires, you absolutely aren't expecting a showcase of peak athletic prowess, right? And the promotional text knows this. In fact, it leans right into it. The commodity being sold here isn't athleticism, it's pride. It's the pure spectacle of seeing untouchable, incredibly wealthy titans put their egos on the line. The branding relies entirely on the premise that wealth creates a really unique kind of vulnerability when it's suddenly forced into a very public battle. So, when you put it all together, you get a literal masterclass pipeline. Step 1, identify the core appeal. They're billionaires. Step 2, introduce the narrative hook. It's a battle. Step 3, bring the entities together for the collision. Mr. McMahon and Donald Trump announce it. This is a repeatable, highly effective formula for generating mass interest. It's clean, it's totally logical, and it creates a highly structured sense of anticipation for the viewer. We've taken just one single sentence today and uncovered an entire framework for how high-status rivalries are engineered and sold to the masses. The next time you see two massive public figures enter into a publicized feud or a joint venture, think back to this. Look for the alliteration, the careful balancing of the names, the manufactured stakes. The formula's right there, hiding in plain sight. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. Are we ever watching a genuine conflict, or just another highly engineered collision? How has billionaire branding evolved since this specific masterclass?